RP Grizzly. Thoughts at night when my son is nursing and my other boys are in bed, and you hear this constant wave noise in the background. It's not because
it's the ocean of California in your dreams.
My wife likes to mock me and the fact that I'm stuck in Missouri when I'm in California.
In the state of Missouri.
Like your guys' gun laws, your weather's crap, and you know it.
It's like a woman who is
Menopause.
Menoposters.
Yes, that's what these guys came for. They saw a video about spaceships and Star Citizen, and they're like, now we're
meteorites. Meteorites.
Now we're talking about Mennonites. Mennonites, my love.
Meteorites.
Mennonites on Mennonite. Now you messed me up.
I was talking about a meteorite, not a Mennonite.
Lord have mercy. This could be a mess. This could work. This could not work. The audio is going to be horrible. I'll try to clean it up, but if you just hear this constant dull whoosh, whoosh in the background, that's the sound of my children sleeping happily. And this is me stuck up, waiting for this boy to decide to go to sleep, talking. So the next thing I wanted to talk about in Star Citizen was Citizen Con. Why do we turn to French?
With the cons.
Concentrate on your child, woman.
He looks like a fish.
Speaking of fish, the Liberator. Liberator. I'm so happy, guys. Finally, they have a concept for a pocket carrier in the game. Alright, it's a light carrier, to be sure. It's much more of
light up to fit in your pocket.
I feel like my wife's just gonna mock us this whole time, guys. It's okay. We'll power through. We don't play for spaceships for nothing, right? Right? Anyway, don't take that the wrong way, you weirdos. So, this is a big deal, and there's no... Let me back up. There's no coincidence of its timing either. They've announced Pyro. Right, I mean, we've known Pyro's coming for a while, but they announced that they're pretty
much... Pyromaniacs.
They're almost pretty much done with it. The planners are just sitting there, and they're just waiting on server meshing so they can make it all work. Which is... Oh, wife has no idea what that is. That's when the servers, talk to each other.
Oh, server missing. The servers are missing, right?
Yeah. Basically, they can have servers for things like a ship can be a server and it can communicate with an overall.
With other, yeah. Can I land on your pad, please?
There's an overall server
little pad
that all the other servers talk to, and it can be as small as
no, those are called servants.
Or a ship, as big as a planet or a city. Right. I'm just gonna move on. The point is, the servers are at capacity right now, so they can't bring in Pyro till they have server meshing in, and they can distribute the load. I don't know why that made me think of surfer guys. I think it's all the waves in the background. Distribute the load, man. Anyway.
No, you just saying hi.
No.
Hilarious.
Gosh. But in our talk about Pyro, and they mentioned how in their whole CitizenCon talk, and I mentioned this in my last video, Pyro is twice the size of Stanton, but it has a lot less planets and moons and stuff. So that means a lot more traveling from A to B. And the space stations that you'll need to fuel, as I said before, some are going to be hostile, some are just going to be dead. And you're going to need lots of fuel. And that means fighters are a no-go, unless...
No, pa.
No. Unless you have a Liberator.
Why does that mean stop?
At least you didn't try to say alto. Why is it all the stop signs? Look, the Spaniards don't know why it's all on the stop sign, okay? They don't know why they do half their stuff. Anyway, so the Liberator is obviously CIG's answer to people trying to bring their combat fighters into Pyro. And future stuff as well. Hopefully, personally, I'm hoping they make something even smaller, like a full pocket carrier one of these days. It's something the size of a... It's on the tip of my tongue. Hang on.
That's the size of the tip of my
It's the
tongue.
size of the tip of my tongue. No. Something the size of a constellation. With just a couple pads on it. And it's all it is. Like this one, they kind of ballooned in size because not only did they include the 3 pads, they also include a garage and like a marine thing and then like 400 storage of SCU and all these other things because, they like to add things and it makes ships big. And so it's the size of a Hercules. We could call it a sub-capital ship, as they like to call it. Good times. Probably would mix well with a Perseus. Yes, it would mix very well with Perseus.
So it's like a gladiator. Jeep
No,
truck
Gladiator.
had a baby.
You can't say that on this. You know why? Because there's a ship called a Gladiator on there, and it's a bomber.
Dang it!
She was referring to the Jeep truck.
The Jeep Gladiator thing?
I guess I could try turning
You could
that
take a sticker that says Jeep and put it on them Space Gladiators.
So we buy a Space Gladiator bomber, and we... Yes.
It's a bumper sticker.
It's perfect. It's beautiful.
Literally, it's...
No problems at all. There's no confusion. It's a Gladiator squared.
And then you could have your parking lot parties.
Wife just kind of tailgating, I think.
There you go, yes. That thing, yeah. But it's a little.
Ironically, the Liberator is just like a massive tailgate.
Because think about it. You put it the land after you land, right? You open the corridor. It's like a tailgate that goes down, right?
Yeah, you saw the picture of the ship I was
looking
at.
So just put Jeep on the back of it, and it's tailgate party.
Except
looting.
Tailgate
bounties. Every time you win a bounty, you get a tailgate party.
So this is what happens when you have a wife who's like vaguely listened to you when you've played Star Citizen for a few years.
Hey, look, when you're nursing, you kind of get in woo land.
Baby on boob, not like a nurse. Just to clarify.
What if?
No.
You were a nurse.
And
you had to nurse their baby.
I think we're getting a little too meta for my taste right now. Let's go back to the tailgate party on the Liberator. So, though ironically, you could turn the Liberator
Space Cowboy.
Into a medical type thing. If you think about it, it doesn't have a medical facility on it, but you could.
It's called an infirmary.
You could just keep going on that. You could potentially land some Cutlass Reds on there, and suddenly you have like a hospital ride going on there. But I guess we need
a hospital tailgate party.
Yeah, you get drunk, you hurt yourself, and you get fixed up all in the same place. It's great.
You'll never remember what happened.
Nope. I guess it'll depend also.
It would be easy to pass drugs around.
I don't know if it would work as much.
Clearly, it wasn't bad.
Stop it! I'm trying to concentrate. Oh man, there's just so much fun to do with the Liberator.
I know.
Yeah, you don't even. One of these days, I'm gonna make my wife play Star Citizen with me. I'm gonna get her a nice souped-up computer, and then we're gonna pick a silly ship and watch her like fly right into the sun.
I flew. Oh yeah! Look at me!
She actually enjoyed the mining, and she took over my spaceships a couple of times.
I ain't crashed them thinking.
I know. It was close thing though. It was okay. She said she liked it better than Elite Dangerous, and that's all I care about.
That is true.
Or as DG likes to call it, erectile dysfunction.
I mean, the elites are dangerous. So Elite Dangerous.
Oh no. No Satanist talk on here, wife.
Well, they're sodomites, so it would be erectile.
Whoa, we're getting political. Fight back.
That's many tickles.
This is not the politics channel. Hey, that's right. We were supposed to be talking about the Liberator. I feel like...
Liberator?
I'm just going to warn you guys now. I'm actually letting all these tangents come about because my wife and I are also trying to convince my youngest son, who is 2 months old, to fall asleep. And sometimes he does that when he hears us talking.
Don't touch him.
His arm. Okay. You guys ever been around?
He goes pinky up. See?
Angry mama is like, don't. He's finally asleep. I've been trying to make him sleep.
I am tired.
Yeah. So speaking of our tailgate party.
Okay.
There's so
With
many
nursing
things
mothers.
to be done. The interesting thing, alright, I'm gonna bring this up, but for a subcapital ship, it has very few crew members. Like, you can run it with two, and that means you could technically run it with one because you can fly it around and then hop out and do whatever the other guy's job is for a while.
Like plumbing.
Which makes an interesting question. If you have the money or the time in game to earn enough credits to buy it in game, who knows when that'll happen? You know, it's usually the quarter after it's inserted into the game, but whatever. You could potentially turn this into your own personal little mini base. This is risky, okay? This is risky when my wife's done singing.
Whiskey.
Because obviously, if you're using it as your main, okay, we'll start with the benefits. The benefits are you could put all your stuff in one place, including your ships and your land vehicles, right?
And your toilet.
Risk part: if it blows up, you'll lose everything. That's risky. But you could potentially just park it out in space somewhere and just fly to it, fly back, go down and do missions, and then fly back to your little mini base. That way you could circumnavigate the the obnoxiousness of constantly having to go to where all your stuff is. Since we're getting in 3.15 our inventory overhaul, you can have all your inventory in, or not all of it, or a lot of it in one spot. You can fly it to wherever you want. Convenient. I wouldn't recommend doing it till they get their crashes figured out, though, or at least that new system they were talking about in CitizenCon, where it crashes but it remembers where all your stuff is. Otherwise, dead, gone. And I can't help but notice they're gonna need that to make something like these carrier ships work. But I have faith. You know, when they get server mesh in, it'll happen. It'll happen. But yeah, you know, Pyros, I wouldn't be surprised if they work really hard to make this ship online, maybe even set it up for 4.0 if, you know, server meshing doesn't get pushed back. Because it strikes me that they'll want a ship like this inside the universe for long trips, for, you know, because a lot of people have fighters and they want to be able to use them in Pyro and they don't want to get stranded. I'm not laughing at my wife's pain. Anyway, and so there's only a few ships that can carry full-size fighters, and so most of the ships in Pyro are going to be like freelancers, cutlasses. My wife's laughing because you know the dick ship as the freelancer is.
I was laughing about it. Speaking of to carry a fighter, and I'm thinking of like those aircraft carriers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's big enough to carry a fighter.
Yeah, that's the Liberator tailgate party. You can hold 3 of them.
Oh!
Oh yeah, that's why I'm excited.
Huh?
And 2 tanks. Or probably if you stuff it in. And then there's like a little thing for like 16 Marines. It's good times. So you have 16 jump seats, 3 pads, 2 garages, and 4.
So it is kind of like an aircraft carrier.
It's like a mini aircraft carrier. They call it a light carrier. And for all of you who don't know, it is a light carrier and not a transport.
Is that the pocket thingy?
Pocket aircraft carrier. That's what we joke about. But it would probably be even smaller. Because this thing's actually kind of big. It's like a mid-size. Like there's explaining to new people and my wife what's in this game. This is fun. So there's parasite craft, which is the small stuff that can be put onto other craft.
Hence the word parasite. Yes.
Yeah. And they don't have drives, so they can't go for. They can't. They don't have any drive, guys. They're just sad in their mother's basement, and they can't do anything with their lives.
Gosh.
We all know them. We hate some of them. Some we understand. All of them we want to slap. But we keep moving.
They stink.
You know, I used to be the person in the basement life before I got out.
No, I wasn't going there. I was going
didn't
further.
I was in a basement. I was in a side room.
Listen, I was.
People used to keep basements. All I got was a corner.
I was gonna go on with a really terrible joke, but that's a sad.
Thanks, wife.
I don't. Not
Needless
about
to
you,
say,
obviously.
I got out of that situation. Then I married her.
Thank God.
I do every day. So.
Me too.
So.
Mm.
Hey, the boy stopped squirming.
Mm.
This actually worked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this worked.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna make a really disjointed video, but I don't care. So.
'Cause he's asleep.
So.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Those are
The
the
parasitic.
many different
Parasite.
small guys. There's also land vehicles, but
Yeah,
right.
those don't count.
Grav bikes.
They're not flying.
Grav bikes kind of fly.
So
They can go in space.
Those mites.
Those mites?
Mites.
Dos mice is the Spanglish. Two ratones.
Oh baby boy, come on.
Anyway, so then you have small fighters, so small ships. Then you have like your medium ships. Then you have your large ships, and then there's ships that kind of fit in between those categories. Then
Let's
you
go
have
to extra. I mean large. And
then you have
extra.
your sub-cap ships, and then you have your cap ships, your capital
So we
ships.
got small, medium, large,
Then you
extra
have your
large,
super
and then extra
capital
large,
ships.
and then extra large.
And then you have the super capital ship, which is like the super extra large.
Super
Strays.
straight.
Oh my lord. Anyway, so.
We think so much.
So, this can hold. Yeah, we don't know. Until we get our hands on it, we won't know for sure. But it will at least be able to fit like 3 of the smaller fighters. At least 2 of them, and then 1 parasite. Hopefully 3. And then they hinted that stuff.
Sounds like a virus.
And then there's a garage that can fit a couple of the big vehicles.
Wait, say that again.
There's a garage that can hold a couple of the big vehicles. What did you think I said? Was it
No, it was the way you say garage.
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 Io era
Wait,
fragile.
Jarge.
No.
Do G's in Spanish make J sounds or Y sounds?
I haven't spoken Spanish.
L makes the Y sound. It makes it.
It's the double L that goes ja.
Oh, it's an H sound.
It's usually silent, actually. Yes. Did they come here for Spanish lessons or Liberator? Next thing you know, you'll start teaching them how to speak Thai. Anyway, she smiled really big because she all of a sudden got excited at the idea. If you start teaching them Thai, I'm going to teach them all the words that sound like cuss words.
They're not cussing Ukrainian.
Did you guys
Russian.
know how to say squash in Thai?
Do you not just say big loads of poop in Russian?
Wow. Liberator could hold a lot of poop. That was a horrible segue. The crappiest segue yet.
Yo, man.
So then, man, this isn't working. He woke up. We're gonna have to turn this off.
It's because he's poop.
He's a poopy boy. You guys can't see him, but he gave me the most like, oh my god, Dad, I have poop. Look.
You're gonna help me, right? You're gonna help me liberate this poop.
Liberate this poop.
The Liberator.
Poop all over the Liberator.
Liberator. Oh, that's hilarious.
Anyway. But I think we have really fun options when we start thinking about the combinations, not the poop, the combinations you can do with Liberators.
I don't want to see combinations of poop in sequence. 1, 2,
Let's say
3.
You have a mini fleet going on. Mini fleet. You have something like 12 people.
12 disciples. Got
12 people. And you have 2 big ships, and then you have a series of smaller ships. Right? Right? Yeah. Then you go for an excursion into Pyro, or you're just trying to flex your muscles and having a good time.
Muscly.
Or maybe some punk-ass org has challenged your org to a fight, and now you're going to combine things properly.
So it becomes origami?
You weirdo. Anyway. You combine this with, say, Perseus. You could then put a bunch of...
Man, that sounds gay.
Light fighters.
Sorry.
That would complement, well, this entire group, right? Because the Perseus takes out other subcap to doing some decent damage to cap ships, and then you have your fighters to defend them all. It's good times. Going the other way, if you had, it's in the tip of my, the hammerhead. This would take. Wife's taking this very sexual right now because it's like almost 1 a.m. The hammerhead.
Oh my
Ha-
god.
I don't even know him. Hammerhead. Don't even know him. Anyway, so you could use that for this anti-fighter role, and then put
I'm just imagining a shark.
light bombers onto your Liberator, and you have something that's a nice, well-rounded mix of everything. Anyway, it's 20 minutes in. I'm giving you ideas. This is exciting because it changes the dynamic of the game. I've talked about this in videos on other channels, ironically, but this is actually really important because with the only carriers in the game being large, crazy affairs, I'll be done soon, like the Kraken, right? That only a big org is going to be able to handle because of the costs of operating it. It's going to give them an immense combat potential, but that's because they can bring fighters to the forefront. In small organizations, most of your combat is going to be done in your freelancer type ships, medium type vessels that can hold multiple people but have long range. Your fighters don't have long range, baby. And lots of your
You made me yawn. I said yawn first.
as they keep adding systems, especially, you're going to be talking about long distance travels without any fuel. So that's going to be the offensive potential. Now, any party that can bring fighters, which are still going to be kings of the combat, onto an offensive raid, are going to have an immense combat potential. Right? Defense is going to have an advantage because they'll be able to have their fighters at their home base, right? Ready to go if someone comes and attacks them. That gives them an advantage on the defense because, right kind of fighters can rip apart medium ships. So it that means that when there was only big carriers in the game, big orgs
Playing
having
with the big boys now.
can bring fighters onto the offensive with medium ships as well, which means not only do they have numbers, but they have the better ships that can match the defensive ships. Before you could argue that a large org attacking a small org, the defensive ones would have the advantage
He's
because
a
they could
bully.
bring their small fighters into the combat.
Ooh, a bolt shark.
Yeah.
Because he talked about the hammerhead.
I'm just gonna keep going. Hammer her head. Anyways, so
you put a ham on her head.
Long story short, with that dynamic going on, this allows smaller orgs to go under the offensive and take on bigger orgs by bringing their fighters into offensive combat far away from their home base. Do you hear something? It's weird.
Somebody playing a whistle flute?
Someone's playing a whistle in our apartment complex.
Or
We'll have to check on that. Anyway, the point is, this gives a nice dynamic for small organizations to take on bigger ones, being able to bring their fighters into combat and maybe even chase down the Kraken and do a quick little strike mission and get away. Good times. You guys are awesome. Like, subscribe, share. My son is still not asleep. And my other one has just woken up. I will see you later.